welcome back to the Untold. Another day, another conversation.
Absolutely, it
And
is.
today we're going to talk about dentistry one more time with another great dentist.
100%.
He gives a lot of his time
Yep.
into volunteer work.
Yep.
We're going to shed a spotlight on that.
It's a trend now. It's a common trend between all
It's
the
a good
dentists
trend.
we've had. Yeah,
It's a very
absolutely.
good
Of course it is. Of course it is.
And we're going to dive into the world in dentistry with this
Oral surgery this
oral
time.
surgery this time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Different specialty perhaps. So let's welcome Dr. Abdulaziz
Let's welcome him.
AlSalim right after this.
Welcoming our guest today on a very, very special episode with Dr. Abdulaziz AlSalim. Welcome to this family, welcome to this space. It's a great place to share your stories and your experiences in life. So it's a pleasure to have you on board.
Many thanks for having me on board.
Of
No,
course,
pleasure's
welcome to the
ours.
show.
Thank you.
I like to start usually especially with dentists, is how did you choose the profession? What made you become a dentist?
Well, I was born in a family with medical specialties. So my dad was a medical doctor, urologist, and
Ooh, neurology. That's,
Before-
that's
yeah.
difficult.
yeah,
That's,
yeah, and
that's difficult.
we were kind of pushed into it initially because my older brother
Yeah.
as well.
Did you feel pushed, really? It wasn't truly what you wanted?
No, I think it was slightly off what I
What
wanted.
did you want?
Honest?
Yeah.
You're gonna laugh.
Ah,
I want to be an astronaut.
wow.
I mean, it is.
Yeah, but-
it is up there. It is up
It
there.
is up
yeah,
there.
it is
yeah,
up there.
It is up there. Yeah.
So dentistry, you got pushed into it, but you.
Yeah, it's because
Pursued.
the whole family, like my older
yeah.
brother went into medical school, so we kind of got like raised into it.
Yeah.
My younger brother did pharmacy as well. So,
Okay.
Nice, nice. So
the
you
whole-
can go see each other whenever you have a problem.
Yes.
You don't need to see a different doctor.
So you went, what happened? So where did you pursue your education?
So I finished from private schools here in Kuwait.
Nice, okay.
I was a British system, so
Yeah,
okay.
I did my IGCSEs here.
Nice.
Okay, I applied through the Ministry of Higher Education.
Fair.
Okay, and the procedure is usually put your selections of schools.
Of course, yeah.
And my
Probably
my
had
first
great grades.
yeah
of
so
high
my first
school?
option was the UK, so they gave me the first option.
Nice.
Okay.
I started off in Leeds. I did my foundation year there, and then I transferred to University of Manchester.
Was there a reason for the switch?
It was very competitive to get into Leeds University, so
Okay.
a few of us didn't get into Leeds
Right.
University. and
There are
we
only
got to
certain
Manchester.
spots booked for each country, I believe, in these
Yes,
schools.
yeah, at that time,
Yeah,
yes,
at
yeah.
that
There was
time,
only
yeah.
like a few seats.
Few seats.
Yeah.
So you went to Manchester and you kind of like started, you jump all into dentistry. And I'm assuming that was 6 years?
Yes, yeah, indeed. It was a pre-dental year and then 5 years dental school. And then I did specialty, but that wasn't immediately after. I had 2 years gap in between where I worked
okay.
back here in Kuwait. And then I went back again to Manchester to do my
Manchester.
specialty.
Yeah, I think you have a story about Manchester.
Yeah, it wasn't just Manchester, it was UK in general.
okay.
If you have kids in British schools,
Right.
okay, they tend to do IGCSEs and then they do AS or A levels.
Yep.
What are those, if you could briefly explain
It's
Complicated exams.
yeah,
Make your life hard.
Exactly.
them?
Yes.
Do they
yeah.
compare to the SATs for the States?
No.
No?
Really,
I'm not sure how they compare to
Okay.
SATs.
Okay.
But
So A levels, I've done A levels. A levels is basically technically first year of uni.
Uh-huh.
Technically first year of
so
uni, almost.
I didn't do A levels back
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. The Ministry of Higher Education only requested
Yeah.
the IGCSEs. So
Yes.
when I finished school, because I was born in November, okay, I was only 15 when I left the country.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So that was an interesting story. I turned 16 when I was in Leeds University doing the
You
foundation.
started
That's rough.
foundation at 16
Yeah.
at Leeds University.
That's-
Wow.
Yeah. So that was an adventure for me.
That
'cause,
was an adventure. Did you go from Kuwait to the UK at age 15 by yourself?
by myself. I've never been traveling before by myself, so
Okay.
it was an interesting experience.
Tell
Yeah.
us about that experience, the first year.
Well, it was interesting because we're not used to the life there. There's a lot of responsibilities
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you end up
Finding
having
the
to
apartment,
sign. Yeah,
the
you have to sign a
lease.
contract.
Yeah. And
you
you
have
were
to pay.
underage. How did you get the apartment too?
I'm not sure how it
Yeah.
happened, to be honest. Yeah, I think because we shared an apartment in the
Okay.
first year, so one of us,
one of
was
you
the
were
legal,
the legal
was
age. Okay.
yeah,
At
signing,
least
yeah, yeah.
So you moved there very, very early, and so you must have graduated very early as well. So you must have graduated by the age of 23. I mean, we're talking the
yes,
pre-dental.
yeah.
Were you
22,
one of the
23.
youngest in the
No,
university?
there was one younger individual there as well.
Wow.
Yeah,
No way.
yeah.
There are these geniuses that finish
It's
that finish
So,
early.
I mean, you graduated, then you came back to Kuwait, and what was your specialty though? There are different specialties.
Yeah, what specialty did you go with?
All right. So once you graduate from dental school, you
Yeah.
do a little rotation where you spend a couple of months in each specialty.
It's like being a resident.
Yes, yeah. So
dentist.
Okay.
and you rotate between the different specialty hospitals here in Kuwait.
Okay.
After that, I found myself leaning towards more oral surgery.
Oral surgery.
Probably because it's the furthest away from dentistry.
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting. Explain that. Furthest away from dentistry. It is still oral.
Well, there's more gruesomeness to it.
Okay.
Okay. So you're doing a lot of surgical procedures. Okay.
Not the cleaning stuff. You don't want that basic routine stuff.
It's interesting.
It's interesting.
Okay, but I wasn't attracted to
Okay.
it. Okay, so I wanted more.
Yeah, you want to fix
towards,
problems.
yes,
You want to extract
exactly,
teeth.
yes, yeah.
But actually, no. What is the definition of an oral surgery?
Well, we do a lot of dentoalveolar surgeries. Okay, which means we are working inside the patient's mouth. It involves like removing wisdom teeth, placing implants, do a bone graft, sinus lifts. We manage trauma, infection.
Like big operations. I mean, none of those are kind of like tiny. Like I mean, implants and they're huge.
Well, once you get used to it,
It
starts to become routine, and it doesn't sound as advanced as it sounds like.
Is it true? I met a dentist once that told me that when you do it so many times, you like, how can I say this? It's just another mouth. You know what I mean? It's just another jaw.
It becomes habit.
Just another jaw.
You're going in.
You stop thinking about it too much. You do
just
it.
go in, do what you have to do, and then if you run into issues, because you have the experience, you know how to work your way around it.
What kind of issues can dentists go through?
Well, as an oral
curious.
surgeon, sometimes you are planning something like, say, placing an implant, and then you open the site, and as you're placing, you find that the bone is deficient, you need some more bone. So either you graft and wait, or you place the implant and add the graft to it. So it's all about decision making on the spot.
Must be very stressful, to be honest, to make such decisions on a patient that's sleeping there.
And speaking of stress, what would you say? I haven't asked a dentist this question before. What would you say is the most difficult oral surgery?
Actually, it's not the procedure itself; it's dealing with the patient.
The patient.
Yeah, because
Knock them out.
Because just the title oral surgery, they're coming in.
Brings
They're,
fear and
yes,
people have
exactly.
phobias.
Yes. So
I mean,
it's
it
actually
sounds scary.
Yeah.
trying to absorb the patient's
Maintain
fear,
their
get them to
fear.
relax. So the most difficult part is just getting the patient more comfortable. Okay, so they're more cooperative with you.
Right. Is your approach is to administer anesthesia or give them relaxing pills?
Depending on the patient.
Depending on the
Some patient, if they're extremely phobic, they're not fit to sit on a chair under local anesthesia, you might have to send them to hospital to get them to sleep so you can be able to work on them.
Well, I mean, I would love to do that every single time, to be honest.
But the general anesthesia is usually enough, so people need to be completely knocked out.
Some
local,
patients
I mean, yeah.
are extremely phobic. So
That's extremely phobic.
So when someone comes to your clinic and obviously, like, let's assume he has an implant, whatever it is, what is the process that you go through with them from the moment of being like, there's this issue, and convincing them that you need a surgery, and then taking them to this? What's the process that you go through usually?
Well, as soon as they come in, we might have to find out what their chief complaint is. So if it's just a missing tooth, we give them all the options that are available. Okay, it doesn't have to be necessarily an implant. It could be like a denture. It could be just to leave it as
several
is.
options,
Yeah, several options. It could be a bridge, and then we go through their medical history, make sure they're safe to have such a procedure.
Okay.
We assess how cooperative they are. We explain to them the steps of the procedure and if they're okay with it, how long it's going to take, how much it's going to cost. And then if they're agreed, we just let them know as well that this procedure, it's not 100% successful. There are some cases where we have to go in and redo the procedure so that they're more aware. And that way, if something does go as unplanned, we're able to talk to the patient in an easier manner.
Have you ever perhaps, what about the patient that comes in with the problem and a solution, but obviously like he thinks like as if the patient knows better than a doctor because someone else he's heard it somewhere, but then you as a doctor you're like, that's not the right thing. Like, I mean, do you have such patients?
So nowadays, yes, a lot of patients do some background reading. You can do a lot on the internet. You can go over videos on YouTube as well. So some of them are slightly more educated with a dental background. Basically, some of them, they do come in and they have some of the information correct and some of that is incorrect. So we try to inform them better on what we're supposed to do. If they have some misinformation, we try and correct that as well for them. And also, like, try and not let patients guide the treatment. You have to do your treatment guidance based on your clinical and medical experience as well.
Right. As a dentist, correct me if I'm wrong, you see a lot of patients in one day, and you're on your feet and you're working, and I don't know how many patients on average you see in a day. Like
it depends.
Depends,
Depends.
like,
Depends.
How many
roughly,
draws?
Yeah, it depends. It could be between 10 to 25 patients
so
a day.
how do you maintain the level of precision and attention to detail throughout your day as a dentist?
It becomes like muscle memory.
Muscle
to be
memory,
honest.
right?
Yeah, it just becomes habitual.
Do you use big magnifiers for?
No, my specialty, no, not really. No.
You don't? Okay,
No,
because
no.
we've actually met other dentists that said they see that they usually magnify the tooth up until it's this big.
Yeah, the endodontist, doctor that does root canal therapy, they do use magnifiers because the canals are, they're very tiny.
Very tiny.
Yeah, so it's a very delicate procedure.
But then what are there any fancy tools that a surgeon might use?
Mostly just a headlight, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah,
Really? Way
yeah.
old school for yourself, huh?
Yeah. It's,
No bells and whistles.
There's not a lot of microsurgeries that I do. No.
Okay. I always ask surgeons this question. Dentists this question. It's like, because I always say that from my perspective, I'm like, I see the dentist looking down at me, but the dentist is literally seeing a whole lot of mess. How does it feel? I know you said it's like autopilot almost for you, but like for me, like I would never imagine myself looking down at someone's jaw, with a lot of messed up teeth, kind of thing. Wow.
With time, you
part
tend
of the job.
part of the job, and you tend to pick up on the patient's body language as well, and you kind of go with that as well.
And you guys always try to have a conversation while we really can't have a conversation. And another dentist said it's a trick to shift my focus and distract the patient.
Yeah, probably.
Do you utilize that trick?
I usually give my patients some information on how to respond. Like if you feel pain,
signals.
There's
signals, right?
Just raise your hand for me, and I'll stop,
okay.
and then we can have a little discussion. And sometimes they just blink. Okay.
So
are there like universal signals across all dentists if I did them?
Not that I use myself.
No? Okay.
No.
Okay. Interesting.
I think I've been in that situation before where the dentist would simply tell me to raise my finger when I'm in pain, and my finger would never go down. It's like I'm always in pain.
I'm in pain. Help me.
Anyway.
Well, we'll carry the conversation after this break, and we'll be back with Dr. Abdulaziz.
continuing our conversation and actually shifting it on the other side of what you do, which is the volunteering side. Just can you let us know more about what you do from the volunteering perspective?
All right, so I started volunteering in 2018 or 19, I believe.
Okay.
It was my first trip.
Where was
I
it to?
It was in Lebanon. I was invited by Dr. Yusuf Al-Awadi.
Previous
Okay.
guest on the show.
Yeah.
So it was
Shout out
it was
Dr.
interesting
Yusuf.
because
Yeah.
at that time we used to go to the refugee camps themselves, and
Yeah.
that changed over time a little bit. It was mainly aimed at kids, and the whole program is we are trying to prevent decay in these communities.
yeah,
Okay. And if there's any infection or pain, we usually manage that on site as well. So
Yeah.
if the
Amazing.
tooth needs to be taken out, we take it out. If there's infection, we can give antibiotics. So it's very limited dentistry that we can provide. We were also giving toothbrushes, toothpaste away to these patients so they can improve their oral hygiene. We were applying fluoride to prevent future
Right.
decay. And we follow up with these same communities on a regular basis. So the
That's
next
good.
trip, we usually
That's
come back
amazing.
in again, and then
They come and see you again.
Yes,
But
yeah.
perhaps
beautiful.
why volunteering from the start? Like why would a dentist or someone that's in their career actually go into volunteering?
The whole medical career
Yeah.
in general is all about humanitarian work.
Yeah, saving
Okay,
people's
yeah.
lives.
That's lovely. Okay.
And-
that's
The
nice.
oath, they took an oath, right?
Yeah. And once you try it, it has a special,
Rewarding.
yeah, has
It's
special
different
feeling
than
to it, yeah,
treating
yeah.
customers.
You can talk
you
about
know.
it all day, but once you try it, it's a different,
It's
yeah,
different.
it's a different kind of.
I haven't asked any dentist this who does volunteer work, but who's supporting you guys? Who's funding these trips?
All right, so most of these trips are self-funded.
Self-funded.
We book our own tickets. We book our own accommodation. There's an organization that does help us.
Okay.
And they do the logistics in the country over there, and they provide us with transport as well.
Good.
Nice. Okay.
Okay.
So there is some level
Yeah.
of support.
Some of the materials we get through donations, which is the fluoride varnish,
Nice.
the STF, some of the toothpaste and toothbrushes we get. Anything we're missing, we chip in between us, the volunteers, and we make up for anything that's missing. And you do get a lot of donations from people as well.
People that actually care about
That's,
this.
Yeah.
that's actually beautiful. Shifting focus here, have you ever, or what is one case that stands out to you who was so extreme and you might have you couldn't have figured it out for a minute, but then figured it out, I guess.
That's a very tough question.
Very tough
Yeah,
question.
Very tough question.
Makes you think,
Yeah,
right? Makes you think.
It'll probably take me a few minutes to actually come up with something.
I mean, if not in the daily clinic, what about in the volunteering experience? Because that's where you see probably
yeah.
a lot of.
The challenging
extreme
part, again, as I
Yeah.
said, is dealing with people. And when you're dealing with kids, you have
yeah.
to give them more time.
Yeah.
Just get them to relax a little
Right.
bit, talk to them slowly and reassure them. Because they start off, they're very scared because they don't know
Yeah,
what that's going to
yeah.
happen. And they might have had a horrible experience
Horrible
before.
experience before with another
So,
dentist.
so they're already traumatized, and then for you to get them to relax a little bit more,
Trust you.
yeah.
It's gonna take.
That's
it
a process.
takes a while. But once you get them under control, once they feel safe with you, and they get the treatment, and they're happy that they're not in pain. It
Right,
wasn't as horrible as I thought it would be.
Exactly.
Their whole face changes, and you see their smile and
Absolutely.
that
Changes.
sparkle in their
Honestly,
eyes. Yeah.
Do you have certain techniques?
It's mostly using your voice tone because you want to use like a
That's
calm,
interesting.
relaxing
Speech
manner.
therapists said the same thing when they're
Yeah,
talking about
Yeah.
speech therapy with
Yeah.
children. It's the tone also.
You said earlier that you see 10 to 25 patients per day, right?
Yeah.
And obviously they need exact same amount of attention, the same amount of focus, and so on. If we compare that with the volunteering, I mean, how many patients were you seeing per day in the volunteering?
And volunteering,
I guess it's a bit more extreme.
It is a little bit more different, okay? Because we get to see more patients at the same time.
Right.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I guess it's the amount of hours, and you'll see as many as you can.
They're managed differently.
Okay.
Here, when you sit the patient down, they own the room. Okay. Over there, you have one big room, and you sit several patients
Right.
down, away from each other. But you go in order between patients. So you sit one down, you numb them up. Okay, and then you
Go
sit
to
the other one, you numb them up, and then
No
you get
way.
the third
Then
one, you numb
start
up, and then
back up.
yes, exactly, and you rotate. So it's
So-
like a cycle.
It's
So
interesting.
literally, it's like but it's only one doctor responsible for all patients in the room.
Yeah. If
you
you
have
have
assistants though.
yes.
Okay, so because the
One
reason,
behind the camera I can look at right now.
so the reason is because I mean, after a while, giving exact same amount of attention for all these, it's just perhaps like, don't you feel depleted? That's what I'm trying to ask.
It does. It's exhausting. At the end of the day, you're just
I can only imagine.
you just want to put your head to
But
sleep.
I guess the rewarding part is what makes you keep getting up in the morning.
in the morning and
and
next day
doing
you're all
more.
excited.
Right.
I
I
mean,
want to do this
for
again.
me, it's not about the work, because the work is autopilot. It's more about the focus and the attention you're putting into it.
Yeah, that's again. I asked the same question about
You know,
attaining that attention span.
it is not as bad as you think it is, because once you go there, you kind of like meet a lot of nice and interesting
Yeah.
people, and they all have like different background stories. And
Yeah, perhaps what you expect is different to reality.
no, you get to make connections with people there as
That's
well.
lovely.
Yeah.
And you started this. You said the volunteer was the first trip to Lebanon back in 2018, 2019,
Yes.
right?
yeah.
And what other countries have you done?
We're doing some in Jordan.
Okay,
It's,
nice.
it's slightly different because part of my work over there in Jordan is mostly treating the adult patients.
Okay.
We do have other doctors doing pediatric patients, but for me it's mostly adults. The difference is in Jordan, the refugees, they're all gathered in one spot. Okay, and we have like a small clinic over there, so it's set up more nicely. There's a dental chair in case of that. We need a dental chair.
So you would say Lebanon is more difficult than Jordan in a way?
Initially, it was
Okay.
because if you've seen some of the videos that we have, we started in the camp, so it's just tents. There's very little lighting there. It gets cold, it gets wet, it gets muddy.
Wow.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are warriors, really.
With time, it developed.
Yeah.
Now we're going to schools. And it's a little bit more organized in schools.
Okay.
Yeah, because the kids are all gathered in one place, so
Yeah.
it's easier
Yeah.
for us to see.
I've noticed a trend actually, because we've sat down with perhaps 4 to 5
so far, yeah, to
dentists,
5, yeah.
and I think at least more than half of them are all volunteering in
Yeah.
Lebanon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, what about that specific place?
They love you. That's why.
Because I'm from Lebanon. So is it the current situation in the country? Why aren't you guys traveling further into countries that need help?
It's mostly logistics.
Okay.
I mean, for us, we're more than happy to go anywhere, but there are some logistics that you need to have done. So you need someone on site there
who's
to
gonna
be able
bring
to
you the patients and all that.
And then they organize with the local authorities, get us permissions.
Of course,
Right.
yeah.
All that is gonna
And can you
be
imagine the coordination? Because it's not how many dentists go in one
on
go.
typically.
It depends.
Typically.
It depends. Like we had, I think, no less than 12 dentists on
To
the
coordinate
last.
12 dentists who have a very, I mean, you guys have a very busy lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then we had a lot of volunteers as well. The one in Jordan, it's a combined medical and dental.
The volunteers I've seen actually do some work with you guys.
Yes.
So how does that work out? They don't have any training, proper training. They don't have any certificates, but you guys still train them and let them do certain things. Could you elaborate on that?
Well, the day before we start, we do a little bit of an orientation. Okay, so we take them through the steps that we're gonna do. Okay. There's a lot of paperwork that needs to be filled, so they do help with the paperwork. We do a lot of dental charting where we count the teeth. So we go through the chart with them in orientation, teach them the teeth numbering system. And then we'll tell them, like, we're gonna apply this fluoride and this SDF, and then After the first day, they kind of tend to pick it up really
So
quick.
it's a boot camp for dentistry
Yes.
in one day.
In one day, yeah.
If you're teaching them 12 years.
No,
well,
it's
6 years.
because it's a prevention program. It's
Yeah.
very different than actual
Yeah, yeah,
dentistry.
yeah.
So we've always been asking, it's a bit of a weird question, to be honest.
Oh, is
we've,
it?
we've always been asking everything from you towards the patients. But honestly, like, where do you go for a dentist?
I have my friends.
Okay.
yeah. So
Can dentists treat themselves in certain cases?
it's very tricky and very,
Very
difficult.
tricky.
I wouldn't recommend.
I wouldn't recommend it.
It's like the movie Castaway now. It's like, no, you cannot do that. You know, like looking in a mirror.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you cannot do that.
He wasn't even a dentist, was he?
I don't think so. So anyway, so honestly, I mean, and when you're going into a dentist, are you a critical person, like, you know,
Like, do
knowing
you
what's gonna
critique
happen?
what they're doing and you'll be like, no, do this, don't do that.
Actually, yeah, maybe. Like,
Maybe.
You know, I want to get this over really quick.
Okay,
So that's what you say,
get it
'cause-
over. Why do you
Yeah.
want to get it over so quick?
I get jaw pain, so
Uh-huh.
I can't keep my jaw open for long.
Interesting.
So I usually like my visits very short. So
Okay.
if anything, I'll tell them just split the visits. I'll come and see you as many times as possible, but let's
Mm.
keep these appointments short.
And does your friend come see you for himself?
Yeah, some of them do.
Some-
Some of them
It's
do.
That's actually very, very interesting, to be honest,
Yeah, it's
because
just
you
a
know what's
community of
happening.
dentists, yeah.
It's like you
Yeah.
know everything, you know the ins and outs of it. So I can only imagine, like, being under that. You're a dentist under the hands of a dentist.
It's yeah.
If he does a mistake,
It's not that scary, to be honest.
To
And if you trust the person,
Yeah.
you know their experience, you've seen their work.
but I guess you wouldn't go to a random dentist.
No, not usually. No,
Not
I
usually.
I tend to go to people
To
I know,
people
I
you know.
trust. Yeah.
Okay.
okay. So obviously, when we come to the end, we're coming to the end of the segment. If we can perhaps, what are the lessons you've learned from experience, from your journey in dentistry? What have you learned that you believe people can take on board, essentially?
Just be patient.
I was about to say that.
just be
Patience.
patient, yeah.
I mean, patience seems like it's a common trend between also a lot of dentists, because I think patience can definitely make life hard sometimes. Where, as you said, I think nowadays what has changed over time is how people are more informed than before.
Yeah.
So coming in with all the, hitting the questions and asking so many questions. Ahmad always likes to ask the question: is brushing your teeth with fluoride or without fluoride?
That's a different question. Yeah.
Isn't that your
Yeah,
favorite
but
question?
why are you against fluoride?
I guess I read a lot of misinformation. Maybe.
There we go. That's how tough patience there right there.
But is there truth to overuse of fluoride?
Well, they do cause some staining during the developing stage, but it does help prevent caries. Like some areas have natural water fluoridation, so
Yeah.
you don't have much options. So
Yeah,
when you have your
that too.
tea or coffee,
Yeah.
it has fluoride in it. So
Absolutely. So that's my way of diminishing the fluoride
Yeah.
is having fluoride-free
toothpaste.
paste.
And that certain population probably might be okay, but again, I wouldn't go and buy.
Listen to the dentist, not to
non-fluoridated
me.
toothpaste.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the usual question I ask is twice a year, go see your dentist. You agree on that?
Regular checkups every
Regular
6 months.
checkups.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Fair.
Just proving my friend doctor wrong every time.
Because his friend doctor told him to visit the dentist
Only
whenever
when you
needed.
need. That's-
I would just do a checkup every 6 months.
Every
You
6
probably
months.
would need routines, cleaning,
Mhm.
because calculus does develop over time.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
One final question. Do we have time for one?
Yeah, sure.
All right, one final question.
Sure.
What's one misconception people think about dentists?
That they're scary. We're not that scary.
They're scary.
No.
Honestly,
We're nice. Once patient gets to make a connection with you,
Yeah,
and
it's better.
and if they had their first experience with you, and
Mm.
it was a comfortable experience,
Yeah,
they tend to come back.
they tend to
Yeah.
come
They
back.
tend to come back.
lovely. Well, thank you so much
Lovely.
for that.
Thank you for
Thank
coming
you
on
for
the
having
show
me.
and
Thank you for your
sharing
time.
your knowledge with us and your experiences. We'll be back for the wrap up.
What a beautiful episode,
Yeah,
honestly.
man, amazing. It is amazing.
But dentists always shock us with even more
Yeah,
inspiration, more
yeah.
information, I guess.
And I love how they answer certain questions I continually ask dentists, and they give me maybe different
Which one?
answers depending on their approach. To
Which
the
question is
questions. Like, you know, the
Oh, I
twice,
thought
the
there's a
twice
specific
year,
question.
the twice a year, the
Fair,
fluoride
yes,
thing.
yes.
They have their own perspectives to give on certain
Yeah.
questions, and I love hearing those.
So are you actually going to continue, what do you call it, brushing your teeth with a
I've always used
fluoride-free?
the same toothpaste since, I don't know, 2017, 2018.
Then no
It's
fluoride.
fluoride free, and I've been fine. But I do go to the dentist twice a year.
Fair.
And they use the fluoride
There you go.
And there's fluoride in water, and a lot of waters we drink. So
Absolutely.
there's fluoride coming
Fair
in
enough,
and out,
fair
don't
enough.
worry. Well, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Tune in next time for more guests and more beautiful stories to be shared right here on the Untold for KTV2. Good night.
Good night.